Hi, welcome to our third coffee break session with the Licensed Trade Charity and Hospitality Jobs UK. My name is Dawn Redman. I am the founder and director of Hospitality Jobs UK. I'm delighted to be sharing the screen today with the wonderful Carolyn Jenkinson from the Licensed Trade Charity. Hello.
Hi.
Today we will be discussing staying motivated during your job search. But I think before we start, Carolyn, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the Licensed Trade Charity?
Okay, I'm Carolyn Jenkinson, so I oversee all the support we give at the Licensed Trade Charity. For those of you who don't know, I've been with the charity for 6 years. Really love my job because it sort of combines customer service skills, which is what I've done since I left school, problem solving, helping people, and speaking to people in pubs. What's not to like? So I have been in customer service probably for a good 30 years, and lots of really varied companies, like a toy company that made children's toys, a publisher, and the construction industry. So I've been about a bit, as they say.
Been around.
Yeah, I have. I've been around. So started the charity. It's been going for ages. So the charity started in 1793. So it's been going a long time. The remit then was to help sort of impoverished people who were licensees. So probably more like old style licensees that we know now. But obviously things have changed in the hospitality industry since then. The remit is still the same, but we now concentrate on anyone that works in hospitality. So it doesn't matter if you're a kitchen porter, a bar supervisor, front of house, managing director, licensee, we can help. And our remit is really to get people in a better place than they are now. So if they're going through a tough time, we've got all the support services to try and help them to help themselves, which is why we're together as well, really.
We are, and it's interesting that you said anything from a manager through to an MD and bar staff to waiting staff, because I don't think people realise it's the whole full spectrum of what you offer, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. So before we start, and I know you've got some questions to ask me, tell me or tell the audience a little bit about how our partnership came around.
We met at quite a few events. I think the common denominator was Only a Pavement Away, and for those that don't know, they help homeless people into hospitality jobs and do a really great job. And we both got connections with that in helping those end result people. So I met you at an event, and then I think I met again at the Pub Awards, and we kept saying that we needed to meet, and I really loved your style. Our style, I think, at the charity is laid back, but serious, but passionate, and you have the same values as us. So to me, that meant that I think the partnership would lend itself really well and be a success. So you've got completely different skills to ours. You know your business and recruitment, you've been doing it a long time. We know sort of how to help people. So we thought with that many people being made redundant in the last year or so, it would be a good partnership. So we met in a pub, my dream place to meet. Hopefully you can do that again soon. Yes. And the rest is history, and now we formed a partnership.
Yeah, fabulous. And equally with us, we love what you do. We're involved with Only a Pavement Away, which is getting people into the hospitality sector. But what we love about the Licensed Trade Charity is that you look after people that not just are in the sector, but have worked in the sector. So for me, it's a perfect partnership. Okay, so now you can fire some questions at me. So this is all about keeping motivated in your job search.
It is. So obviously last week we spoke about giving yourself a really good social profile on LinkedIn and things, and that there were some absolutely brilliant tips. I think I watched it again because obviously we record it, and I always watch it again just to see if we can do anything better. And the tips are really brilliant. I just felt, okay, if I knew nothing about social media and profiles and networking, I would have known a hell of a lot more after your presentation. So you did a really great job on that. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about probably a bit more of a tricky subject emotionally, I guess, is how to keep motivated when you're searching for a job, because it's daunting enough to be made redundant. You know, that's a big thing to happen in your life. So to keep motivated, you know, like when you're looking for a job, you need to, I think, have a routine or something. So what I was going to ask you is like how you go about making sure that you look after yourself, but also do things professionally when you're looking for a job, and how to keep motivated.
Yeah, you know, one of the most awful things is being made redundant, or even if, you know, even when you decide that you're not happy in your job, is finding your next job. And keeping motivated is tough. And in this particular climate with the coronavirus, it's even worse. It's absolutely magnified. But the first thing I would suggest is you have to be in the right frame of mind to do a job search. And you also must remember, especially in the current climate, is that the right job isn't going to be easy to find. There isn't a lot of jobs out there at the moment, but you've got to get yourself prepared, keep yourself motivated. And I would say treat finding a job as a project, treat it as a task, and also treat it as an exciting new adventure. Because in some cases you've worked for a company for many years and you wouldn't have taken that step. And I know people are saying, yeah, it's very easy for you, you know, I've just been very redundant and, you know, I haven't had any success. But there will be success stories. Hospitality is coming back. And it's a great opportunity for you to actually have opportunities that maybe you wouldn't have had those opportunities without the pandemic happening. So my thing is keep the right frame of mind to do your job search and think of it as a project or task.
That's actually good, actually, because you might, you know, like you might sometimes coast along in a job and you think you're happy until you then start reflecting on stuff, and then you realise actually, no, actually this move may give me the opportunities I've been missing out on before. So
yeah.
So that you don't become too obsessed with finding a job, how would you suggest like making a little routine for yourself to break things up?
Okay, so I think, yes, you definitely need a routine. Again, think about it as a project or as if you're going to work. So I would spread your time out over a week, and I would suggest mornings. You don't have to do every morning, but alternative mornings. But I would suggest the first thing you do is when you get up, get dressed, get out of your pajamas, have a cup of coffee or tea, have some breakfast, get yourself comfortable. If you're a woman and you're wearing makeup, put your makeup on, make yourself feel great. If you feel great, you're going to be in a better frame of mind looking for a job. And people might say that's ridiculous. I know what I'm talking. I've been in recruitment for 28 years. Oh, I think it might be a little more now, but at least 28 years. 32 years. But you have to be, you know, it's really easy just to roll out downstairs, sit with your pajamas on, grab a coffee. Just get out of bed. And I would say if you start work at 9 o'clock, that's when you start your job search, 9 o'clock. And just think about it. You do all the stuff you would do if you was going to work. Then get yourself comfortable, get a nice chair, cup of coffee, you got a pad or whatever you choose to do, and then get going. So get out of bed and get dressed.
So yes, so I think also you're in a much better frame of mind because it's like taking on a project, isn't it? So your psyche is a lot better than you know, half dressed or I totally agree. If you're properly just having a down day and you don't feel motivated to do anything, what would you suggest to keep going, or should you not keep going?
I would say stop looking. Stop. Just if you're having a really down day and you just don't feel like looking for a job, just park it. Stop looking, because if you haven't got the right frame of mind, you're not going to find the right job, or you could miss out on the job opportunity, or you might apply for a job where it asks for a covering letter and you might not have that enthusiasm. So just stop looking and take a break, because looking for a job when you're feeling down can actually demotivate you in more ways, because it's just going to bring you down even more. But Caroline, I think you've got some, I know with the licensed trade charity, if you've got some support that you can give people as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we did a help sheet when everything first locked down on motivating yourself when you're furloughed. And I think actually this lends itself very much to people being unemployed, because I think you become so obsessed with creating a goal or achieving a goal that if it doesn't work and you're not in that sort of right frame of mind, it's going to probably be detrimental to your mental well-being, which is so important for it to be good when you're looking for a job. So we've got a few things that we can offer. We've got a really good help sheet on mindfulness, which if you asked me that about 5 years ago, thought it was about hugging trees, and I'm not that sort of person, but I've really changed my mind. Just looking at the weather, or look at your garden, or look at the birds, or just like look down the street and just observe people, because it takes you away from the moment of feeling really stressed. Look after yourself. So other things that you need to do, and we've got sheets on that as well, is don't break up your sleep routine just because you're looking for a job, because otherwise the tireder you'll be, the more demotivated and stressed you're going to get. Also try and eat properly and have regular meals. Don't just skip stuff because you think the be all and end all is finding a job. A job will find you in the end, like you said. So those are all things. Also, we work with CPL Learning, and they've got some really good modules that anyone can go on the website and register. And one on resilience, which I think is absolutely apt for this time of year, how to keep your resilience up. And I actually went on and did that course myself, because we always try out stuff before we recommend it. And I thought it was a really good module. It's about 30-40 minutes. One, you get a certificate, which is not a bad thing. And two, you get some really good tips on how to be resilient. And there's another one about, good mental health, how to up your mental health. And as you said, when you're having a down day, take a break and maybe just do something completely different. Photography, colouring in, like childlike qualities sometimes are really good. Watch the TV, have a chat with someone, but don't just get focused on the negative, because it won't get you anywhere. So hopefully those sort of things. And also we have got obviously the helpline, and we've got counsellors that may be able to just give you some tips about how to stay motivated, and don't let your anxiety and stress get the better of you.
I know the guys at CPL, their training modules are fantastic, and the great thing about that, although they're 30-40 minutes long, you can actually stop and come back to it, so you don't have to do the full session. And the fact that you get a certificate, and CPL recognised across the whole of the UK as one of the industry's leading hospitality training companies, so it's a recognised certificate. And it's interesting you said painting. I went to see a friend of mine the other day, and she was feeling a bit down in the dumps, and I said, what have you been doing? She goes, I ordered painting by numbers. And I said, really? And if you knew my friend, I said, really? So I popped in to see her, and obviously in the garden, because I wasn't allowed to go in her house. So I popped over, and she brought it out to me, and it was amazing. And so much so, I said, oh, will you do one of them for mine? And she said, no, you go and do it. I mean, I haven't got any patience, but it was amazing. She goes, Dawn, I find it so therapeutic. And one of the things I do for my mindfulness is in the morning, I have a cup of coffee, and in my back garden, I've got loads of hanging bird food.
Same here.
Watching the birds. And what I've got out there, the robins and the blue tits and yellow tits and all these other different birds, and it's just beautiful. So I think you need to be mindful, but I think whether you're in a job search or in this particular pandemic, you need to take some time to sort of relax and
also, like painted by numbers, you've still achieved something that you've got forever. So there isn't really a downside, is there? So you were impressed. That made her feel really good.
Yeah, it was so impressive. And she's going to frame it and everything, and it was just amazing. And I was gobsmacked because, and actually another friend of mine got a DJ deck. What's that all about? And it's hilarious, but it's whatever works for you, you've got to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it's a great tip, and just do small things that you can achieve, because it makes you feel good about yourself. Yeah. Talking about positive and negatives. I often think that when things are tough, you need certain type of personalities in your life, and I would say that's really important when you're job searching. So what recommendations have you got about that?
So I think everybody has a group of friends. They've got friends, families, work colleagues, and they have different skill set and different strengths. So whether it's work experience or emotional support, I would simply say, if you're having a bit of a down day and you want to be motivated, pick up the phone to one of your friends. And if somebody you're talking to is just not, it just isn't what you want to hear, I would politely say, I've got to go because someone's at the door, or somebody's on the phone, or I've got another Zoom call, but just walk away from that negativity. It's really, really tough. You've got to be around people. I mean, I am hugely positive, but I occasionally get my days where I just want to have some positivity in my life. And the first person I pick up the phone to is my daughter. And she would just go, oh, you know, and just waffle on about her dog for 10 minutes. But it just makes me feel so much better. So pick and choose the people, and don't feel obliged. You know, they talk to you as well. So you are motivating them in the same way. So, but if you want a work question, then speak to an ex-colleague or somebody you know and say, what do you think about this job? And think about the positivity things. So surround yourself with positive people who've got those great emotional skills. That's what I would say.
Excellent. There's one of them is sort of more social, which brings you out of yourself, and the other one is like people that you've admired that you know if you contact them, they would be chuffed to bits that you contacted them. So to me, it's
yeah, and we've got to. I think over the last 11 months, people have got a bit lazy, and in the sense that they don't fire out a WhatsApp or pick up the phone and say, "Hi, how are you doing?" One, because they don't want to hear all the negativity, but people are so pleased to hear from you. And I constantly message my friends, hi, how you doing, what you been up to, how's it all going, because I know just by receiving that message, I'm not suggesting you become a stalker or anything like that. All I'm suggesting is that pick up the phone, and it'll make you feel better. And if not, the other thing that makes you feel really great is music. Put on the radio, put it on loud, whether it's opera music, the 80s, bit of ABBA, bit of, you know, Meatloaf, or bit of sort of Pete Tong, whatever takes you, put the music on, because that is amazing. That is great.
It's so true. It really is true that the music tip is good, because there's so many variants, so you'd always find something you love.
Yep.
Hey, how do you try and stop yourself feeling dejected if you don't hear back from people when you've applied for a job? How do you go about that?
Okay, so first of all, everybody should come back to you, but for numerous reasons, whether they're busy or whether they just haven't got the time, I would say if you go for an interview, if you've not heard anything, or at the end of each interview, don't forget to say, what's the next stage? When will I be hearing from you? And if you haven't heard from them, then I would suggest you drop an email or message, whatever format they were communicating, whether it was by WhatsApp or by LinkedIn or by email, which is normally the right process by email. I would then just send an email out saying, great to meet you last week. I'm keen to get some feedback on how I did. Any feedback would be really welcome. I would never go in with, I haven't heard from you, why have you not heard from me? Always be really friendly. It's like, great to meet with you. Now, if you haven't heard anything, I would leave it 1 week after you sent that email. If you haven't heard anything after that week, follow it up again with, hi, you must be busy, I'm so sorry, you know, it'd be good to hear, sorry to bother you again, it'll be great to hear from you. If you do not hear from them from the second time, I would say walk away thinking, probably glad I didn't work for that company, because they haven't got the same work ethics as you. But most people will come back to you, at least on the first, certainly, if not on the second. So I would just say contact them and ask them.
And if you go one step back, obviously that's if you don't get an interview, with actual applications being sent out, is that a different animal? Do you have to sort of accept sometimes you won't hear back from those sort of people and just take that on the chin?
Yeah, you do, I'm afraid. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they'd applied for 85 jobs. And I know this isn't uncommon in the current climate. Yeah. And she's only heard from 3 people out of the 85. As a job board, I can confidently say we've never had so many people register with us that want to work in hospitality over the last 6 months, certainly. Not the last 11, but, you know, we've always had people registering with us or asking for job alerts, but for the last 6 months, it's gone a bit crazy. Sadly, I think there'll be more people, very sadly, more people potentially could be made redundant in March, April time. However, just think of the positivity that it's a numbers game. Apply for the jobs, but I would say only apply for the jobs you want to work for. Because if you apply for everything and don't hear anything, you'll get to a stage if I apply for that job, I know I'm overskilled for it, I didn't even get an interview for it. But do you really want that job?
Yeah.
you've got to think about the job that you want and just make sure that you hang in there. It will get better in hospitality. Prepare yourself, hang in there, and make the most of this time, because you're not going to get back, because when hospitality opens, it's going to be crazy. So yeah, I would say you just need to just not feel too dejected by that.
And I also think sometimes it's nice to hear that you're not alone and that loads of other people are going through the same thing, because you always think you're worse off than someone else. So I think being realistic and being honest as to saying it is tough and you may not hear back, at least says, okay, I now know what to expect, as opposed to having rose-coloured glasses about life at the moment as well.
And under normal circumstances, you probably would hear from somebody, and it might be an automated response, but it's going to be tough. But equally, what I will add, Carolyn, if there's a job that you've applied for and you really want to work for that company and you really want that job and you haven't heard anything, then message them. Hi, I applied for the job on Monday, and it might be, sort of a week later, or I applied for a job a week ago. I haven't heard from you. Understandably, you may be busy because you might have lots of applications. Just to let you know, I'm really keen, and I really would like to have an opportunity to meet with you. That actually, because of all the applications they've got, they may have missed you, not really meaning to, or they might think, actually, I want to speak to this person because they're so enthusiastic. So just remember to apply the jobs that you want to apply for, and if you're really passionate about one job, just chase it up the same way as you chase feedback. People don't mind. Put you on their radar again.
No, I agree. Actually, that worked for me once because I missed the deadline. It was, charity work is often deadline orientated, and you have to set your applications by. So I missed it, and I really wanted to go for an interview for this job. So I just messaged and said, like, everything that you've got in your job description matches what I love doing, and I got an interview because of it. So it works. I just did that out of the blue, and what's the downside? It worked for me. So good tip.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's really hard. We were just saying, like, someone that's like gone for 85 jobs, so you need to stay motivated and be organised at the same time about what jobs you've applied for already. And because you're applying for so many, how do you keep track of them? So what would you say is the best way to go about that, so you know what you've done?
Okay, I have written some notes about this because I didn't want to miss out anything. So when you do a job search, it's hugely, hugely important that you are organised and you're structured across the way. And again, you've got to treat it like a project. So I would say, first of all, create a brand new spreadsheet, and on the spreadsheet you have a load of little tabs along the bottom. Yeah. If you're not used to using an Excel spreadsheet, grab a new book, a nice clean book, and start from the beginning. And then you need to head up the pages or the tabs with if anyone takes anything away today, with these notes, and the notes are what jobs you've applied for, what agencies you've contacted, what LinkedIn connections you've linked with, what networking messages have been happening, what job boards you've registered with, what job board alerts you've registered with, and then ad hoc notes. Now, I know that sounds like a lot. You're thinking, well, actually, that sounds quite a lot. But actually, it really is important to follow that journey on, right, I know I've applied for that job, so I don't want to apply for it again. I know I contacted that recruitment agency and they haven't come back to me. Or I know I've contacted LinkedIn connections by sending them a message. That person may not have got to you that day because they were busy. So having this in a spreadsheet, if you're doing this 2-3 hours a day, I would say, even if it was 3 days a week, that's potentially 9-10 hours, you need to track it. Then once you've created your book or your Excel spreadsheet, then I would say write the name of the person you've contacted, the date you contacted them, and any comments at all. And it could be a case of, it wasn't suitable, or somebody just kept on coming back to you. At least you know that you've got this closure on the job and you can move it on. Yeah. So you've got your current jobs, and this way, some people find it easy if they just scribble it down in the book, whatever works for you, but you have to project manage it. You have to write how many jobs you've gone for and where so you'd put, for example, Brewhouse and Kitchen, general manager, apply for the job the 1st of March. So when you look at it the following Monday, I've not heard from Brewhouse and Kitchen, it'll prompt you to say, I'm going to send them an email. hi, just to let you know, I applied for a job last week. I wondered if you've shortlisted yet. Then you put a note saying the date you contacted them. I know Brewhouse and Kitchen, and they would have contacted you by now, but there's some companies that wouldn't have done. So, you know, again, you know, and if you look at the big companies like the Stonegates of the world and the Weatherspoons, you know, they may have just missed your application because they're getting so many people applying for their jobs. All you need to do is just give them that gentle reminder, hi, and again, whenever you email anybody, don't forget to sign off with your name, and underneath your name put your mobile number so they can really easily quickly call you. But plan a spreadsheet, and it'll actually be interesting because when you do get your job and you're successful at getting your job, and I guarantee if you do a plan you will get a job much quicker, because we've already told you how to write a CV, we've already told you how to put, you know, to do your profile. Now you're doing a plan, I guarantee you will get a job quicker.
Yeah, I think everything you say speaks wisdom. Is you know, it's not going to go wrong. I also think that's almost like something, I know you can't because everyone's doing it, like almost to add to your CV about how you've gone about things, because I would be really impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really, someone asked me, I work with a few people, and I support them with their CVs, and I support them with their career plan or their job search plan. And, you know, initially some people can be quite negative, saying, I don't want to do that. But actually, when they start doing it, they're going, oh, you know, I applied for 25 jobs and only 2 people, you know, came back to me. But I speak to these people now, and they are so enthusiastic. They go, right, I'm at my second interview, I've got to do a presentation. And it's really, you know, you can just see that they really are learning from their whole experience. So, and I think that's really key for also when you have an interview, about learning from your experience of having an interview and what you can learn from that.
Because you remember when we said about the CV thing, and you said to do achievements and small hobbies, like, you know, Duke of Edinburgh Award, or I ran a marathon. I think there would be no downside if you get for an interview saying, one of the things I'm proud of is I've done a spreadsheet and, you know, like gave all my key achievements in there, and actually that skill has given me some good transferable skills, and I'm actually proud because I knew exactly where I was at every stage. I would think, oh, impressive.
It does make you feel, it does, and again, but what I will say is that sometimes you've got this spreadsheet or you've got this book and it's full of all these notes, and you're thinking, I'm doing all this, but I'm still not getting the job. If you're doing all this, you will be in a better position to get that job than somebody that's not doing it.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say.
Well made. Obviously, we're talking about interviews next week because it's a bit of a sort of, it's a strange one, really. You think, I've got an interview, then, oh my God, I've got an interview. So that it's a double-edged sword. So we all touch on that next week. But I think what would be really nice for you to say, sort of to round things up, really, is to not always keep comparing yourself to someone else. You know, like, you know, should there be a certain number of interviews that you definitely get? Is there a ratio? There probably isn't one, is there?
No, there isn't. You know, it's what I would say is when you get an interview, you may have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 interviews. I wouldn't say you get to that ratio, because if you get to that ratio, either you're going for the wrong job, or you've got the skills, either you're too skilled for that job or underskilled. I would say you learn from every single interview you go for. So you learn on what can I do it better, how can I answer better, how can I prepare better. So everything you go to, and this is where you write your notes on your spreadsheet or in your book, thinking, actually, I could have answered that question so much better. But when you have your next interview, you will do, because you've had a trial run. I say to people that aren't successful at interviews, they say, oh, you know, I was really demoralized. I said, okay, what did you learn from it? And they said, oh, what do you mean? I said, what did you learn from it? Well, they asked me about my key achievements, or they asked me about this particular subject, and I wasn't prepared. I said, so if I ask you that question now, are you prepared? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I said, so that's what you've learned from it. So you learn from every single interview you go for. You learn about the company, which when you go for another interview, you can refer back to about that company because you know a lot about it. You can learn about the people. And what I would say is, actually, although hospitality is huge, the recruitment managers and resourcing managers and talent managers, there's not a great deal of them out there. So if you have a great interview, and although if you had a great interview and although you wasn't successful, that person will remember you. So always be positive. Even if you want to scream and say, oh my God, why am I not getting these jobs? Or you want to scream saying, I was suitable for that job, you will get it, but learn from everything.
Yeah. I'm not going to, otherwise, if I'm not going to let you do too much, love, because otherwise we'll have no tips for next time. Calm down. You're so passionate. You're talking about.
Well, actually, I'm going to turn this on you, Carolyn, because I'm conscious that what the licensed trade charity does. Can you share with the audience, apart from your fantastic helpline and help sheets, what else you have available for health and mental well-being? I know you did cover the CPR. Have you got anything additional you think that would help them?
Well, something that is probably relevant, it will be, if I'm going to be really honest, more to sort of managers, team leaders, supervisors, is we're now doing like completely free 2-hour mental health training. And wow. I would say, if you register for that, that will be a really helpful twofold. One, it also tells you how to look after yourself as well as other people. Two, it gives you that really great vehicle in which to, how do you start a conversation with someone who knows a bit down? How do you go about it? What should you say? Should you say anything? Should you not say anything? This training gives you amazing tips to be able to do that. Three, wouldn't it be great to say, oh, while I was also looking for a job, I registered and did a mental health training course.
Yes.
So I now have got some more skills. So if anyone in my team felt a bit down, or a colleague, I now know what to say. So that is a big tip. It's free. All the dates are on the website. It's going right through to, I think March is completely booked up. It's been a really brilliant feedback, but we're going right through to May. So get on that website and sign yourself up. I can't think that would be a downside at all.
There's nothing downside about that. You've learned another skill. You've got another skill you can add to your CV. And actually, for 2 hours, you walk away with, and it'll make you feel good. And you know, you can actually turn around and say, well, actually, I did a 2-hour mental health course. Do they get some sort of form of certification or anything, or at the end of it, or do they just get that they know they've done the course?
If someone wanted a certificate, because that would help them in their job search, I know that we'd be more than willing to do that. It doesn't come in a standard package, but you get all the slides about, so that you can remember those tips for later on.
Okay, so you get all the information around it.
Yeah, and the other thing that you know what's really good is you see like-minded people in that. So you might see people from other pub companies, and you can talk to them about the same sort of thing. Oh yeah, I have suffered from that. This is what I did. And I think it would give you some great tips going forward. So that's one of the really good feedback reports we've had, is they're talking to people from other pub companies that may do things a bit differently, so you can learn from that as well. So I think that would be a good tip. And
it's also so good for networking, isn't it?
Yeah, you never know.
Could get you on your next job. And it's all about networking and staying positive and getting your next job.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, we've done their helpline to death, but again, you know, sometimes you might not want to speak to someone in your peer group, but just speak to someone, a complete stranger, a trained stranger, as we call them, can sometimes also bring you your morale back up again. I always finish with that one because I think people forget that's free.
Yeah, and it's free.
Yeah, everything we do is free. I know people think it's
free.
There is such a thing as a free lunch at the Love Nice and Straight charity.
But it's fantastic, and it's, you know, everything, you know. I've been speaking to so many people, and I say, and they're talking to me about the mental health, and I go, stop. I know all about recruitment. I can talk to you about recruitment. I can keep you motivated. I can keep you positive. I can keep you structured. I can keep you organised. I can keep you on route. You talk about your mental health. Go to the people that have got these specialist people that can help you. I don't want to go there because I don't want them to know it's me. These people don't work in the industry. They're nothing to do with hospitality. So they will not know it's Dawn Redmond from Hospitality Jobs UK. They would just know me as Dawn if I choose to call myself Dawn, or Carolyn if I choose to call myself Carolyn.
And remember, their whole remit, your remit is to get people jobs in hospitality and you love it. My people is to help people in hospitality, and their remit is to counsel people and provide emotional support, and they will feel better making you feel better. So just, you're helping them do their job as well. Look at it that way.
Now, what about you, Carolyn? Have you not found that the January, February this year has been the toughest out of the whole of the
January went on forever. I mean, it's just
I
lovely
found
the
it
first
so
of March
tough.
today, but you're right.
I found it so tough. And speaking to people, they just feel, but also with the announcement coming in, April the 12th, I have booked so many pub 2-hour slots and 3-hour slots through from the 12th, and my friends are like, you're there every time straight from work, because we're going to start trying going back to work when you come to from March the 29th. So it's positive stuff, and I'm so glad we're doing these sessions, because it's going to help, not now, but it will help in the future as well. I'm going to stop talking because I know I'm talking.
Yeah, and another really good session next week, same time, same place, sadly for the time being. We talk about interviews, how to get a good interview, how to do well in, how to prepare.
Yes, that's Wednesday at 10 a.m. You've got to listen to that one. That's going to be a good one, and I'll always be open and honest.
Yes, I know you will. Same here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dawn.
Thank you, Caroline. Take care now. Bye now. Bye.